I was shocked that the Knicks picked Mike Brown. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Now, do I think he's a bad hire? I trust in Leon Rose. Leon Rose has made a lot of different decisions over the last couple of years, and he's made the right ones. He brought Jalen Brunson in for $58 million. Now he's the captain. He's Mr. Clutch. Am I going to take shots at Leon Rose when he made that move? No. He gave R.J. Barrett an extension. He used R.J. Barrett to get OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby is one of the best wing defenders in the league, a Kawhi Leonard prototype. Now, he has been very good when he's been healthy. So is that a home run? Absolutely. He signed, obviously, a guy like Robinson, Mitchell Robinson, to a 4-year, $62, $63 million contract. Is Mitchell Robinson one of the best centers in the league when healthy? I would believe he is. Now, he's not an offensive player. He's one of the better rebounders, offensive rebounders in the league, and one of the best blockers in the league, and rim protectors. So was that a bad move? No. He made the trade for Karl Anthony Towns. Now, is Karl Anthony Towns one of the best offensive big men in the league? Yes. Does he work well with Jalen Brunson when they're both on the court? No, because both of them don't play a lick of defense. But that is why I believe they made the move to bring in Mike Brown. And here's the reason why. Mike Brown is a different style of coach. He is a defensive-minded coach, as Tom Thibodeau was a defensive-minded coach. But what makes Mike Brown a little bit more interesting when it comes to defense, he plays man. That's what he does. He sometimes uses the zone defense, but mainly plays man. That means if Mikal Bridges, and he sets up Mikal Bridges to defend Tyrese Halliburton the whole game. That's what Mikal Bridges is going to defend the whole game. There's no changing up. There's no rotation. It's none of that. It's man on man. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why Indiana beat the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. But you look back of all the coaches over the last couple of years with the New York Knicks and how much they have failed. Jeff Hornacek being one of them. Jeff Hornacek was he was a decent NBA player. He was a three-point shooter. He played on that Utah Jazz team with John Stockton and Karl Malone, went to a couple of finals but choked. And he was a terrible head coach with the New York Knicks. Derek Fisher, who likes to sleep around with other people's wives and girlfriends. Derek Fisher, he won a couple of titles with the Lakers, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. He got his first coaching job with the Knicks, and within years, and I mean years because it was really 2.5 years, he was fired. I wonder if the Knicks are still paying him. So, because he's never got another job. And then you go through the line of guys that have succeeded. Charles Woodson was a good head coach. He really was. Now, the problem with Charles Woodson was he didn't have the fans, respect. He was a good coach, but he wasn't that bright light coach. He wasn't that name in the stars where everybody says, oh, we got Charles Woodson. He wasn't like that. Now, Phil Jackson, we thought by bringing him in as the GM or whatever president of the organization, you would have thought that Phil Jackson, one way or another, because of how bad the Knicks have been coached over the last, 20 years, he was going to come in and take over the coaching duties. It didn't work. It didn't work with Phil Jackson. As a matter of fact, he was falling asleep at the combines when he was trying to scout players. So it didn't work with Phil. But over the years, the Knicks have been up and down with head coaches. Tom Thibodeau was a successful coach with the New York Knicks. Nobody's taking that away from him. The problem with Tom is he could never get over the hump. He went as far as he could with the Timberwolves. He did. And he only went to the semis with the Timberwolves. Could never get to the Western Conference Finals with the Timberwolves. He went with Chicago to the finals. And who did he bump into? He bumped into the Miami Heat. And with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen, it was never going to work. They were never going to get over the hump. And that was really the last year Derrick Rose was really as elite as he was when he came into the league. The problem over the years with the New York Knicks is the transitional players that they bring in and how the coaches do not work with those players. Mikal Bridges, after the season, as I heard, went in to the executives with Leon Rose, James Dolan, and World Wide West, and relayed his thoughts to the organization and where he thinks the organization is heading if they keep Tom Thibodeau. He was the guy, and I believe he was the first that opened up his mouth and said he's tired. He was tired. Now, this is the same guy, Mikal Bridges, who the Knicks traded for 5 first-round draft picks to bring him from the Brooklyn Nets to the New York Knicks. Mikal Bridges was a big part of the first and second round of the playoffs. And then what happened in the third round in the Eastern Conference Finals? He fell off. Why? Probably because he was tired. And that is the problem right now with the New York Knicks. And it's been the problem with the New York Knicks year in and year out. Tom Thibodeau wears these guys out. And it doesn't even matter to him. He will play 7 guys all season. If you look at the Knicks starters, all 5 starters were in the top 11 in the league with minutes played in games in the regular season. That is a problem. I don't care what anybody says. Look at Josh Hart. Throughout the playoffs, it looked like as the playoffs moved forward, he was getting tired and he wasn't the same player. He wasn't that defensive, offensive player that the Knicks were expecting to get from either in the starting lineup or even coming off the bench as the 6th or 7th guy off the bench. He wasn't that guy in the finals. Why? Because he was tired. Then he was making mistakes, he was fouling people, and he was putting himself and putting the Knicks in bad positions to succeed. Mike Brown, I think, will be a decent fit. Now, I don't know what Mike Brown's going to be in New York, but he is a winner. Everywhere he's gone, he's won. You could say whatever you want. It's not easy winning an NBA championship. Is Mike Brown a guy? I think he's better than Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla took over for Brad Stevens and Udoka. Udoka. I always mess up his name. Houston head coach because he was playing with somebody else's woman. Yeah. But it seems like that's the trend right now with coaches and executives. As we all know, Isaiah Thomas was doing that as well. Yeah. But the fact is, the New York Knicks needed to make a move that makes sense. Now, Leon Rose, over the last couple of years, I'll go back to what I was just saying in the beginning of the monologue. Everything he's touched, practically, he's hit. They're slam dunks. Now, Mike Brown, coming in from multiple interviews, tells me that he very much impressed World Wide Wes and Leon Rose. Nobody cares about James Dolan. Nobody gives a crap about what James Dolan is doing except when he goes on a mic and he plays his stupid guitar and his fiddler. He's fiddler on a roof when he's over there at Madison Square Garden.
Do we really care about that either, though?
No. But when you have a career winning percentage of .599, that, ladies and gentlemen, tells me that he is a quality head coach. Now, will the Knicks win with Mike Brown? Only time will tell. Madison Square Garden is going to be very loud about this when he gets introduced, probably on Monday, because they're not going to introduce him on the weekend because it's 4th of July. It's a holiday. Expect it to be on Monday. When they introduce Mike Brown, he's not going to be the world beater that everybody wanted. There were a lot of people that wanted the kid. And somebody like him was a guy that was coaching right under Tom Thibodeau. Johnny Bryant is a guy that has been a successful defensive mind with the New York Knicks, with Tom Thibodeau. He was the second guy over the first 2 or 3 years with the New York Knicks before he decided to go and part ways with the Knicks and go over there to Cleveland to work with Kenny Atkinson. Everybody thought Johnny Bryant was the guy. Then Mike Malone, he gets fired before 3 games or 4 games before the playoffs. He was the big, sexy name that every Knicks fan wanted. He didn't even get an interview. The Knicks didn't even interview him. So, obviously, the Knicks had no thoughts of bringing in a guy of that magnitude. The reason why I think Mike Malone didn't get an interview is a lot of people compare his coaching ability to a Tom Thibodeau, an aggressive guy that doesn't really say much, and he plays that shift and that rotating defense that didn't work here in New York. But again, Mike Brown's a different style of coach. The way he runs his offense, it's going to be a different style of offense. The pick and roll at the top of the key will probably be changed. He'll probably move and spread out the offense. He's going to play like a triangle offense like Steve Kerr did in the Spurs. He comes from the Spurs organization. Greg Popovich, he's going to run a triangle style of offense. It's not going to be completely a triangle, but a triangle style of offense. And why does that work with the Knicks? Jalen Brunson, he's a one-on-one player. He's an isolation player. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you can use during a triangle type of offense. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, even Kevin Durant, when he was over there in Golden State, that's what they like to run. They were either running the offense through Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or Klay Thompson. Whoever was hot and whoever was not, that's the guy they were running the offense to. I just think that that's the way the Knicks are going to play their offense. That's the way they're going to run their offense.
I disagree a little, Errol, with what Thibodeau did to this team and why Brown's going to be different, right? They're both defensive coaches. They're both notorious hard asses. Brown forced his way out of Sacramento after getting Coach of the Year because he couldn't stop going after De'Aaron Fox for being lazy and just like telling him that this you got to see in this game, and he would like put him on blast in the media. Thibs never did that to his guys in the media, but let's face it, he's going to coach him hard. Is there any team ready for a team that's going to be for a coach that's going to coach him hard? It's a team that just had Thibs, so I'm not worried about that from Jalen, Brunson, and the crew. I think they're actually going to take to him very well. They're the type of group of guys that can take that constructive criticism because no one's harder on Brunson than himself, right? De'Aaron Fox, not the same guy. Let's face it. But that's the thing. The thing about the playing them until they retired, I disagree with that. I think the thing that Thibs did that was so wrong was that he played him so much, he never got the bench minutes to the point where the guys like Hart and all the other pieces knew where the backup players were going to be in the defensive rotation. They didn't know where they're supposed to space when they were on transition, so that's why the transition offense looked like crap.
You're going to tell me
Thibs is putting guys out there that didn't know what they were doing.
You're going to tell me a bunch of professional players that have played in the NBA multiple years don't know where they're playing and how they're running their defense? I don't believe that.
If you haven't played all year with them, you don't.
That's bull.
Dude, no way. No way.
That's
Bullshit.
Bull.
They don't
That's
practice
bull.
very much during the regular season.
What are you talking about?
You know that. They don't have time.
Day.
They have game after game after game.
And they have a practice every
weeks.
morning. They practice every morning.
Every couple of weeks they have a real practice.
They practice every
They
morning.
have walkthroughs.
That's a practice, and they're running.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You're going to tell me
you
that
don't learn
really?
How to get spacing.
You're going to tell me
off of the
you're
three
going to tell me
on
the
transition.
press guys that we've had on our show telling me every day.
Everyone would agree with this.
I disagree.
Everyone would agree.
I disagree.
You can't come in cold.
I disagree.
Never play.
I disagree.
And look, Thibs
now
did
you're
it
sticking
the year
up for
before.
Tom Thibodeau. Now you're sticking up for Tom Thibodeau.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you why Thibodeau was wrong.
No,
he was wrong because he
didn't
get
Mike
these
Brown,
guys minutes.
You're telling me Mike Brown and Tom Thibodeau are practically the same type of coach. They're not.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm
saying they're the same type of hard ass.
That's what you said. They're all
I said
hard
they're the
asses.
same type of
all
hard
the
ass.
great coaches are hard asses. Pat Riley is a hard ass. But Greg Popovich was a hard ass. The only reason why he was nice after he changed when Tim Duncan came to the team. Ask the Admiral how Popovich coached him over the years before Tim Duncan came on the roster.
I know. And Brown worked for Popovich and learned championship ways and that kind of style of coaching.
The only ass kisser is Steve Kerr.
That.
That's the only ass kisser.
He's so different, though, Brown, in how he plays the young guys. And you mentioned it, Errol. That's the big difference. Now, what you saw Thibs doing in the playoffs was the equivalent of how I used to get chewed out as a JV football coach of drawing plays up in the dirt. Because when you haven't gotten guys like Speedy, DeLon Wright, did he play at all for like a month and a half?
Yeah.
He came in, gave them energy the first game that he was in, and guess what? By the time those guys are in after a while, if they have to play with the starters, they haven't played with them in practice. The guys in practice, the stars are playing with the starters. They're going against some of these backups. When it comes to actually playing with them in the rotation, in the second quarter, in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, you saw the Knicks just not able to do it. Thibs didn't want to play that lineup, and Brown will. So I think that's why they went with him. I'm excited about it. I think that he's going to get the bench ready. And there's just one other thing that has to be mentioned about this. No one coaches guys harder than Thibs. No one plays guys more minutes than Thibs. Whoever they come from that's going to be next, it's going to feel like they're on vacation, that they have all this energy at the end of the season. It's going to be so much better. From that part you're saying, Errol, that's true. Maybe it'll keep guys happier. Will it make them – I think the bigger problem was that he was basically drawing it up in the dirt with guys that he never played.